Next, we have the girl who walks around the party holding her beer sideways because she could only shotgun in half. Give it up for Rebecca Okrent.
So tonight is actually my first time doing stand-up. So if you could just be gentle and tell me I'm pretty, that would be great. I'll try not to fall in love with you, but so I am an anxious person. I don't know if you can tell right now, but if I get kind of nervous, I start to shake or excited, and my eyes kind of bug out of my head. So recently, I was like, I should really do something about this, and I had gone to therapy before. My parents sent me when I was a kid because I was a little too concerned about my financial future and the state of terrorism as a 7-year-old. So I thought it was a good idea. They sent me to a deaf shrink, and what I mean by this is that she was so old that she lost her hearing to scarlet fever as a child. So I got a recommendation from Metcalf. So I went to this lady off campus, and 2 minutes into the session, she asked me what I wanted to do, and I was like, yeah, I'm thinking of being a comedy writer, and it turns out that is the worst thing I could have ever said to her, because it turns out this bitch wanted to be a comic and had a secret passion, so she spent the rest of the session being like, oh, do you know this comic who used to go and do stand-up in the Catskills 50 years ago? And I'd be like, oh, no, that's great, though. What do I do about panic attacks? And she didn't really care so much. So by the end, she was, reading me her own material. And, she came up with, a song for a musical she had an idea for that was, what if there was a drag queen who was also Muslim? And she started singing me the song, and it's a lot of work if you wear a burqa. So it wasn't the best. I overheard this conversation the other day where these two guys were talking, and one of them was like, oh, can you go to this thing on Saturday? And he was like, no, man, I got my grandma's funeral. And the first guy was like, dude, fuck your grandma, we had plans. And I was expecting this big fight, right? How dare you? But the guy was like, yeah, I know. So then I was like, I don't know them, but I was like, yeah, screw that bitch. Last time she ruined your plans. I'm single. And it's gotten to this point where people are actively sorry for me. I overheard this conversation between my dad and our neighbor Ira in the driveway. And Ira was like, oh, I saw one of the girls brought home her boyfriend for spring break. Which one has the boyfriend? And my dad was like, oh, yeah, that's Rachel. She's the one with the boyfriend. But Rebecca, Rebecca, she has a job. So, I went to this reunion dinner with high school friends, which I don't recommend in particular. And I was the only one who didn't have a boyfriend. So all of them were talking about what they were doing over the summer and how they were going to make it work. And then they got to me and they were like, oh, so Rebecca, what are you doing? And what are your plans? And I didn't know what to say to them. So I just said I want to become a bath person, as in someone who takes baths in addition to showers. I feel they must go to morning yoga regularly and eat kale, and their digestion is super regular. So I was expecting, it was such a Bridget Jones moment that I was expecting this artist to run up after me out of the restaurant and be like, oh, don't worry, you're perfect just the way you are. But he was busy, so I broke my phone right before getting on a 7-hour bus ride, and the only thing that worked was Siri, which is never good. I could see when someone was messaging me or calling me, but I couldn't do anything about it. So I thought oh, this won't be that bad. I could always say oh, Siri, call this person. The thing is that my best friend kept calling me, but she, in my phone, is listed as that fucking bastard. Let me explain. We had this bit where we thought, like, wouldn't it be funny if we had each other on our phones, like that fucking bastard, and we had like a picture of our high school track star, like as the contact like photo, and like a Jesse McCartney song playing. The thing is that like on this bus ride, I couldn't call her for 7 hours because I would have to be like, Siri, call that fucking bastard, and then she would like repeat in front of a bus full of people, like calling that fucking bastard. So I'm sorry, Caroline, who had to wait like 7 hours for me to call you back. Apparently there are still people who like don't think the Holocaust happened, like they think it's a conspiracy. And as like a Jew, I'm actually not that offended because I feel like what they're actually saying is like Jewish people are so smart that they thought of like every detail to like pull off the greatest lie of all time. I just like imagine like the director meeting with each actor and being like, oh, David, so you're gonna have to lose a lot of weight for this role. Are you up for it? You gonna do it, buddy? I'll make you a star. Yeah. I don't know about you guys, but I'm really over like people our age like defining their romantic relationships as complicated. I'm not saying this because I'm like bitter and alone. I am, but that's like not why I'm saying this. The whole I feel like it can't if it's consensual and like all is okay, it can't be that complicated unless it fits like 3 criteria that makes it special. Like I feel like if number 1 is like, did you just find out that you are blood relatives with this person? Like have you been fucking your half brother this whole time and now you don't know if you should end it? Like that's weird. Number 2, have you spawned a tiny human being? Like together, or is anyone pregnant? Because like that's a lot. And number 3, did like this person save your life? And I'm not like talking like wedding speech, like oh they saved me from alone and like jerking off into a tube sock. Like really like dragged you from a burning building, like covered you from gunshots, like Grey's Anatomy level shit. If not, go home, you're drunk.